Hello and welcome to this presentation on the group enrollment process for AmeriCorps members in the My AmeriCorps portal. This webinar is designed for program staff who are directly responsible for enrolling AmeriCorps members in the portal, as well as for grantee and state commission staff who are responsible for training other people on member enrollment procedures and requirements. The group enrollment feature, which was introduced in eGrants in June 2019, is just one aspect of the larger process of enrolling AmeriCorps members in the My AmeriCorps portal. So before you continue with this training, please review the main member enrollment presentation that was provided via webinar in April 2019. You can find a recording of that April webinar, plus some important policy documents on member enrollment and a summary flowchart on the URL shown on this slide. This particular training is primarily geared toward direct grantees of AmeriCorps State and National. If you're listening to this and you're a sub-grantee staff member, please talk to your state commission or to your prime grantee about additional expectations or timelines they may have related to the member enrollment process. To give you a sense of the outline of this session, again focusing on the group enrollment process, we'll start with an overview of what that process is, the requirements for that process, a comparison between the group enrollment and the regular individual enrollment feature. We'll walk through what the steps look like for group enrollment, talk about troubleshooting, and then end with some resources related to member enrollment. The member enrollment process begins with award notification and has a number of phases leading up to the final action of clicking the Enroll button in the My AmeriCorps portal, which is what officially enrolls the member. The April 2019 webinar had a full description of all of those steps and phases, and you can also see them here on this slide. They're summarized on the flowchart whose image you see here. You can find a larger PDF version of this flowchart, as well as the recorded webinar from April 2019 on either of the two web links shown on this slide. Either the Managing AmeriCorps Grants webpage under the Member Enrollment heading, that's the image that you see on the left side of this slide, or you can find those same resources on the Member Enrollment Resources webpage on the CNCS Knowledge Network. So again, group enrollment was a feature added to the My AmeriCorps portal in June 2019, and it happens during the final phase of member enrollment in eGrants. So this is the only phase of the member enrollment process that we will be discussing during this training. But it is important to complete all the steps in the previous three phases of member enrollment first. And you can look at that member enrollment flowchart for a summary of those steps, as well as the April 2019 member enrollment training for a full explanation. Regardless of whether a program opts to use the new group enrollment feature or the regular individual enrollment feature in the My AmeriCorps portal, there are key requirements that have to be fulfilled in all of those cases before any members can be enrolled. The notice of grant award has to be received. The member enrollment period needs to have begun. Service locations need to be set up in the My AmeriCorps portal. Slots need to be available for all members that are being enrolled. Member candidates need to have SSN, Social Security number, and citizenship verified. Criminal history checks need to be completed in the case of the NSOPW or initiated in the case of the state and FBI checks. Members need to have been determined to be eligible to serve, and members need to complete their portion of the enrollment form, and that includes acknowledging a partial education award if that's applicable for that particular member candidate. So again, those requirements apply to all types of member enrollments. For group enrollment, in order for a program to use that feature, there are a couple of extra requirements that need to be fulfilled. Specifically, AmeriCorps member candidates need to be associated with the correct program year and program title during the member invitation process. Program title, by the way, is another term for the operating site name or the subgrantee program name. You can see the image on this slide with a box that shows you where those two key fields are located on the member invitation screen in the My AmeriCorps portal. In order for members to be associated with the correct program year, the program staff responsible for sending member invitations in the portal need to select that program year correctly on the invitation. If members apply and are accepted directly in the AmeriCorps portal, their applications will not be associated with a program year. So as a result, the program year will need to be entered manually on the member's individual enrollment form later in the enrollment process. This means that these members who have applied through AmeriCorps and been accepted through AmeriCorps, will not be able to participate in group enrollment. They actually won't show up on the group enrollment tab in the portal that you'll see shortly later in this presentation. They will need to be enrolled individually instead using the existing individual enrollment process. In order for members to be associated with the correct program title, again, that means operating site name or subgrantee program name, program staff will need to select the correct program title during the member invitation process. If the wrong program title is selected on the member invitation, it will need to be changed manually on the member's individual enrollment form later in the enrollment process. So again, in this case, the affected members whose program titles were selected incorrectly during the invitation process, will not be able to participate in group enrollment. They will need to be enrolled individually instead. If you reviewed the member enrollment flowchart before taking this training, which hopefully you did, you should recognize the blue boxes on the left side of this slide. These are the steps that need to be taken by program staff during the last phase of member enrollment in eGrants. Those steps are, number 1 here, confirming that the Social Security number and citizenship statuses for the member are either verified or manually verified. Number 2, checking the boxes to certify that the NSOPW check has been completed and the state and FBI checks have been initiated. Number 3, entering the required member placement information, which includes the start date, service location, and slot type. And number 4, clicking the Enroll button to officially enroll the member. What you see on this slide is what those steps look like on the individual member enrollment form. Now here is what those same 4 steps look like on the new group enrollment screen. You can see those same 4 numbers, 1, 2, 3, and 4. What you'll notice, of course, is that the placement of the fields on the screen is different. However, program staff are still entering the same types of information, making the same certifications, and taking the same actions. The key difference is numbers. While on the individual enrollment form, you are entering information for only 1 member at a time, on the group enrollment screen, you can enter information for up to 20 members at a time, and you can enroll those members simultaneously. I know there's a lot to look at on this slide. We will be walking through this, the group enrollment structure more in detail on future slides, so you will see this image again. But first, a little comparison of the differences between the group enrollment and the individual enrollment processes. As I just said, group enrollment allows programs to enroll up to 20 members at a time, while individual enrollment is limited to 1 member at a time. And also, as I mentioned earlier, in group enrollment, the member's program year and program title are set during the invitation process. So members who applied and were accepted via AmeriCorps cannot be enrolled via the group enrollment feature because the AmeriCorps application process doesn't link members to this specific information. Similarly, members that were invited under a different program year or a different program title cannot be enrolled via group enrollment. Instead, the program year and program title for these members will need to be selected or changed manually on the individual enrollment form. In both group enrollment and individual enrollment, the member's Social Security number and citizenship status need to be verified on or before the member's start date. Member candidates won't even show up on the group enrollment screen until this verification is complete. For individual enrollment, the verification status and dates are shown directly on the enrollment form. If you're using group enrollment and you need to find out what date the SSN or the citizenship verification took place for a particular member, you can go to the member's individual enrollment form and view it there. Regarding National Service Criminal History Checks, or NSCHCs, The rules are the same for both group enrollment and individual enrollment. Program staff must certify that the NSOPW check has been completed and that state and FBI checks have been initiated on or before the member's start date. Checking the box, the NSOPW box and the state and FBI box, is the legal certification by the program that these actions have been completed, and the certification is recorded along with the date in the AmeriCorps portal. You will not be able to see the date of certification on the group enrollment screen, but you can see it on the member's individual enrollment form. Let's transition now to a step-by-step walkthrough of the group enrollment process. The first step is to locate the new Group Enrollments tab, which is in the SNN workbasket in the AmeriCorps portal. You'll find it to the right of the Pending Enrollments tab. When you first click on the tab, there will be no members listed. It will look blank, like what you see here. The members will appear in the next step. The next step is to select the program title. Again, that means the operating site name or the subgrantee program name. So select that program title for the members you wish to enroll. When you select it, there will be a brief pause while eGrants thinks about that, and then you'll see that the program year will automatically populate on the tab. And the program year that will appear is the one whose enrollment period is currently open for that particular subgrantee or site. And then the members associated with that particular program title and program year will automatically appear on the list at the bottom of the tab. The list can display up to 20 members at a time, but there may be more than 20 members associated with that particular program year and program title. If you can see the small print on the slide, you'll see it says your search returned 23 results in this case. So only 20 members will display, but you can use the navigation tools on the right side of the screen to move between pages. Remember that members will only appear on this Group Enrollments tab if, first of all, they have the correct program year and program title pre-populated from the member enrollment, from the member invitation form. Secondly, if they have completed their portion of the member enrollment form already. And thirdly, if their SSN and citizenship are already verified. If there are members you want to enroll who don't appear on this tab, you can find them on the Pending Enrollments tab. Again, that's the one directly to the left of this new Group Enrollments tab. And then you can use the individual or the regular enrollment process instead. Members who appear on this Group Enrollments tab do also appear on the Pending Enrollments tab. Next, you will need to select a slot type. In the group enrollment process, all members that are enrolled in a single action need to have the same slot type. If you want to enroll other members with a different slot type, you'll need to repeat the group enrollment steps with that second set of members. In the example on this slide, I am intending to enroll Beatrice and Tommy as full-time members. I plan to enroll Erica as a half-time member. So right now I will be working with the records for Beatrice and Tommy, and I'll be entering information for them. I'm going to leave Erica's row blank for now. I'll be enrolling her later as part of a different group. The next step is to complete the criminal history check certifications for Beatrice and Tommy. Remember that by checking the NSOPW check and the state and FBI check boxes, you are providing a legal certification that you have completed and adjudicated the NSOPW check and have initiated the state and FBI checks. These steps must be done before the boxes are checked. Also remember that just like on the individual enrollment form, you must enter a start date for the member that is on or after the date the boxes were checked and the form was saved. You will not be able to see this date on the group enrollment tab, but again, you can click on the member's name to go to their individual enrollment form to view the certification date if you need to see that. In the example on this slide, I am checking the NSOPW box and the state and FBI box for Beatrice and Tommy, and I'm taking that action on June 7th, 2019 in this example. When I either save the information or click the Enroll button, The certification date for Beatrice and Tommy will be recorded as 6/7/2019 on the member's individual enrollment form. If then I later uncheck the criminal history check boxes on the group enrollment screen and save the information again, it will overwrite the previous certification date. So if you are on the screen and the NSOPW and state and FBI boxes are already checked, do not uncheck or recheck them unless you want to reset the certification date. If I am actually ready to certify the criminal history check actions for Erica as well, even though I'm not enrolling her in this moment, I can check the boxes and save the form, even though I'm not taking the enroll action for her quite yet. Saving that information will record the certification date for Erica as well. Next, I need to select service locations for Beatrice and Tommy. So I'm going to use the drop-down list below the service location heading on this tab. In order for the correct service locations to show up in the drop-down list for these particular members, the service locations need to have been set up previously in the AmeriCorps portal. If you need guidance on how to set up member service locations, please see the complete member enrollment training from April 2019. Note that the service locations can be different for each member in the group enrollment process. In the example you see on this slide, Beatrice is being assigned to service location 1, Tommy is being assigned to service location 2. Now it's time to enter start dates for Beatrice and Tommy. For Beatrice, I'm selecting 6/7/2019. You may remember that in my example scenario here, we are calling that today's date. So entering today's date for Beatrice is in line with the 4 bullets that you see listed on this slide. It is no later than today's date because it is today's date. It is no earlier than 8 calendar days prior to today's date. It is no earlier than the SSN and citizenship verification dates. And I know this, even though I can't see that particular date on this screen. I know this because in order for Beatrice to appear on the group enrollment tab, her SSN and citizenship must have been verified either on or before today's date. So if I enter a start date of today, I know that that is no earlier than the SSN and citizenship verification date. And this date of 6/7/2019 is no earlier than the date the NSOPW and state and FBI boxes were checked. I know this because I just checked them. I checked those boxes today, so that means that the certification date is no earlier than, the start date rather, is no earlier than the certification date for those checks. Now for Tommy, I have selected 6/1/2019. It's true that this is no later than today's date, so it meets the requirements of that first bullet. It's also not earlier than 8 calendar days prior to today's date, so that part is okay too. So the first 2 bullets are okay. But I haven't looked at Tommy's individual enrollment form to see when his SSN and citizenship were verified. I haven't checked that. So there's a chance that the 6/1 start date will violate that third bullet. More urgently, I know that I just completed the criminal history check certifications by checking the NSOPW and the state and FBI checkboxes today. So a 6/1 start date is guaranteed to violate the 4th bullet. 6/1 is earlier than the date that those boxes were checked. So that means a 6/1 start date is not actually going to be possible for Tommy. That's why there's red exclamation points next to this that I've put on this slide. It actually will not be possible. But just for the sake of this example, let's leave it there for the moment and see what happens in a later step. The next step is to check the Select to Enroll boxes for Beatrice and Tommy, since those are the members I want to enroll in full-time slots under this particular program title and program year. Again, I will come back to this screen later to complete Erica's information and enroll her under a different slot type. Only the members whose Select to Enroll boxes are checked will be affected when I click the Enroll button at the bottom of the tab. And now the form needs to be certified at the bottom of the tab. This is a legal certification, just as it is on the individual enrollment form. and the certification confirms that all of the information provided on the form is correct and complete, including the criminal history check certifications. Now the next step is to click the Enroll button at the bottom of the tab to attempt to enroll the members. The key word here is attempt. Clicking the Enroll button is not a guarantee that all of the enrollments will be successful. The next slide will show you what happens if one or more of the enrollments does not go through correctly. As a reminder, in the Group Enrollment tab, you can enroll up to 20 members at one time using this process. So if you have filled out information for all of those members and clicked the Select to Enroll box for those members, all of the members where that information is complete and that box is checked will be attempted to be enrolled. If you filled out information on this tab for one or more other members, one or more members, but aren't yet ready to take the enroll action, you can click Save Information instead. The start dates and the slot types that are saved on this particular tab, the Group Enrollment tab, won't be visible on the individual enrollment form for those members. So the information is saved on this tab. It doesn't cross over onto the individual enrollment form, but the criminal history check certifications will. So if you check the NSOPW and the state and FBI check on this screen, the Group Enrollment tab, and save it here, those checked boxes will show up on the individual enrollment screen as well. So if one or more of your member enrollment attempts was not successful, you will see a red error message at the top of the tab. The message will tell you which members were not enrolled, and it will tell you why. Members that were successfully enrolled will disappear from the Group Enrollments tab, while members who were not successfully enrolled will continue to be visible on this tab. In this example on this slide, Beatrice's enrollment was successful, so you'll see that she is no longer displayed on this tab. However, as predicted in our earlier conversation, Tommy's enrollment was not successful because the start date I had entered for him was before the date that the NSOPW and the state and FBI checks were certified. So you'll see that Tommy still appears on the Group Enrollment tab. And you'll see in the error message that Tommy is specifically called out, saying that his start date cannot be prior to the NSOPW check date, and his start date cannot be prior to the state of residence, state of service, and FBI check dates. And the error message instructs you to correct the start date. So what program staff will need to do is correct Tommy's start date, check the Select to Enroll box again, and try again to enroll him by pressing the Enroll button. Troubleshooting. There are a number of reasons why member enrollments might not be successful, and some of those possibilities are listed here on this tab. It could be that the program doesn't have enough slots available to enroll all of the selected members in that particular slot type. It could be that the start date was entered wrong, or that the program staff forgot to select the member's service location. It could be that the member has not yet been exited from a current full-time service term. Or it could be that the member candidate, him or herself, was not in fact eligible to serve. They may have previously served 4 terms with AmeriCorps State and National, or they may have received an unsatisfactory performance rating from a prior service term. Whatever the reason, the error message will be your guide here. The error message will provide you with details about what went wrong and for whom, and if possible, what the program can do to correct it. Please keep in mind that the member enrollment will not be complete until the error is corrected and program staff successfully take the enroll action again. As we conclude this training, I want to point you in the direction of resources that can help you with member enrollment. If after seeing this you've realized that you need a refresher on the entire member enrollment process, please visit the Managing AmeriCorps Grants webpage and click on the Member Enrollment section. You saw that image on a previous slide in this training. There you will find the slides and recordings from this training and from the general April 2019 member enrollment training. And I strongly recommend that you read carefully through the member enrollment policy document located on this page, as well as the member enrollment flowchart. The National Service Hotline is your go-to place for technical problems, technical issues you may encounter with eGrants during the member enrollment process. There's a phone number listed for them, as well as a form where you can submit questions to them directly. And the Criminal History Check Resources page, also linked on this slide, has information that will help you conduct compliant and on-time criminal history checks. And state commissions and direct grantees, you are always welcome to reach out to your CNCS point of contact for guidance about member enrollment requirements and procedures. If you are a commission subgrantee or a site of a national direct grantee, please reach out to your state commission or your prime grantee for information and resources. And that concludes our training. Thank you so much for participating.